AI-generated art is an extremely approachable visual art medium. Even if you can't draw at all, you'll be able to create images that amaze you on day one, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So a lot of the AI-generated art that you see online gets created in something called a Colab Notebook, and I've got a link to the one that we're going to use down in the video description. Colab is a Google product that makes it easy to run somebody else's code on a Google machine, so that you don't have to worry about configuring your own computer to run it locally. We won't have to look at any code to generate interesting images though, so don't worry. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is create your own copy of this Colab notebook so that you can save your changes. And to do that, you click on File up here in the menu, and then click Save a Copy in Drive. Take a second, it's going to create a copy. And when it does, when it's done, it'll give the option to open it in a new tab, which we're going to do, and then we'll close the old one. You can and should read through the notebook, but we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. The first thing to note about Colab is there's these little play buttons along the side, and these play buttons are how we're going to tell the notebook to actually run code for us. In terms of layout, most notebooks will have a little preamble like this setup area here that downloads software that the notebook will be using, and then it'll have a part down below where all the action takes place. So I'm going to go ahead and start running the part up top, since that's going to take a while to complete anyway. And I do that just by clicking play, and you'll see that after I've clicked play, you see it start spinning like this, and that lets us know that it's actively running. If there's an error, this will turn red and we'll know. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down. We're going to ignore this optional section for now and come back to it in a later video. And then we're going to come down here to the important part of the notebook while it's downloading up above. The creative inputs for AI-generated art are snippets of text and other images. Collectively, we call these prompts, and once you get going, this is where you're going to spend the most of your time experimenting. The way the system works overall is that it generates a random image or takes an initial image that you give it, and then slowly transforms it into one that matches your text prompts one step at a time. We can see here that the default prompt is Cyberpunk Forest by Salvador Dali. That sounds pretty good, so we'll probably leave that. The width and the height are 600 each. Change those as much as you want. The init image we're going to talk about in just a second. And the rest of these, the target image, we're not going to talk about today. The learning rate we're not going to talk about today. We might talk about these, though, in terms of displaying images as they come through. So we're going to go ahead and run this cell. And then we're going to run this cell, which actually starts the AI image generation. It's got to download the model. And it's going. So this is the first image that it generates. And this tells us the step number that it's on. So it's basically taken that first image and then generated a second image and then used that and the prompts to generate a third image, and it's going to show us its progress every 50 images, and it's going to stop after 200 steps. So that's the 50th image coming through. You can tell it'll be right there, and well, that looks better than the first one. And what are we going for here? A Cyberpunk Forest by Salvador Dali. Okay. Okay, and it looks like we're done. Yeah, that might be a Cyberpunk Forest by Salvador Dali. Either way, it's a lot more interesting than anything I could have drawn. So the next thing that we're going to look at is starting this off with an initial image. And the way to do this is we're going to need to click over here on the left side in the Files area and upload an initial image. And I'm uploading an initial image that I got off of unsplash.com, which is a good place to get initial images that are free for commercial use, I think. So if you've got an initial image in this folder, the way to specify it here is to say /content/ and then whatever the name of the file is. I renamed the file because it was something very long. I'm going to change this images interval to 10, so it will show us its progress every 10 images instead of every 50. That way we can see it evolve. And I'm going to go ahead and raise this to 500. And the reason I'm raising it to something so high is if I really like where it was going, I don't want it to necessarily stop after 200, though very often it will be as close as it's going to get after 200 steps. But either way, we can always stop this and grab the images anyway. And so if I wanted to, I could just save these images after the run is over, or even while the run is going on. All right, so let's try it with an initial image. We have to rerun this cell where we've changed something, and then this cell which depends on it, in order to get our updated settings. And let's change our text prompt too real quick. Let's go with a horrible creature from the deep by Monet. So we have to rerun that and rerun this, and we'll go ahead and kick it off. We can see that the first few images looked like the image prompt still. But that is going to get washed out a little bit over time. But will still be there if we kind of know what to look for. So an image prompt is a good way to set up your composition. And what the program will ultimately do is discard the style and the textures and things like that. And we can see that this isn't changing very much, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it now. This looks acceptably like a horrible creature from the deep by Monet. And that's it. That should give you enough to get started. You'll be able to generate all kinds of things with the combination of initial images and text prompts. And I would recommend when you're starting out to just do text prompts and kind of see what kinds of creative capabilities it has and try to find keywords that make things interesting. Unsplash and Wikipedia are good places to get images free for commercial use. And next time we're going to talk about how to get this to accept multiple prompts, how to weight prompts so that it pays more attention to one than the other. And in later videos we'll talk about other notebooks, how you can get this to work with animation, all kinds of advanced topics. For now, though, feel free to join our Discord, like and subscribe, follow us on other social media. All that's down below.